Brett here. Welcome to Paradox Diaries 3.1, it turns out. So I want to go through some basic practices. These are good baseline things you can do that are really going to have pretty quick effects on your health. You're going to notice it if you do these, say, 15 minutes a day for 5 days a week, 3 weeks, you will notice, you'll be convinced that you should continue doing it. So I'm going to say that. So I'm going to go through the list. First is shaking. I've been doing this a lot lately. Do this. All right. I'm just going to tell you the things. Later on, if you want, I'll go into the details and so on. But right now, shaking is good. That's one thing. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to relax and stretch our bodies. I have a whole bunch of videos and there's a whole bunch of information on deep flexibility training. But here's a quick rundown of a quick set that will get you what you need. Okay. On the floor, want your feet flat, sit on your heels. If you can't do it, use a pillow. Turn your toes under, do the same thing. It's going to help your ankles, your feet, your shins, a little bit on your knees. Next thing, knees together, sit back. First one's called pins and needles. We're just doing the feet. This is called hero pose. This is going to help strengthen your base. Next, for your hips, blaster pose. Go from a tabletop, bring a foot up, slide a leg back, stretch. Same thing, other side, right, left. That's going to get your hips. It does 3 things: hamstrings, hip flexors, diagonal pull. Wonderful, basic thing. There are a lot more, but if you only have one, that's a good one to do. Next thing, since most of us are really tight in our chest, you want to do a couple things with your shoulders. You want to, on the wall, hang, cliffhanger. That's what it looks like, something like that. I've got videos on this. And then you want to go for pretzel arms. Something like this, right, left, and then finally, wide dog. We'll be using this in a bit. Wide feet, get into your shoulders and hang out. Now, that's going to really give you a good feeling for stretch. There's a lot more stretches, but and you don't have to do those every day. Just do a mix and match of them. Work up, do it over and over again. But then add in some neck isometrics. I've got lots of videos on that. Maybe with a forward fold. And then maybe finish with shaking. If you do some mix of that, and I think 10 minutes of shaking is really essential, you do that, say, 5 days, I bet you're going to notice a whole bunch of difference. Probably some mental clarity and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that is the short version of what I suggest you do. I can't do it for you. You have to do it yourself. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I've healed my body, and this is doing it. This is the final piece of the puzzle. So now, if you're still listening, I'll talk about shaking. Shaking basically just cleans the body. And you know what this is? Shaking is a system reboot. That's what this is. It's a system reboot. It kind of clears the garbage. Like, you're a starship in outer space, and for some reason you need to get rid of junk in Star Wars so that Han Solo could have some kind of protection. Ridiculous idea. But in any case, that's the lymphatic system. That is, and somewhere in there is Han Solo hiding in your lymphatic system, and we're trying to shake him out. Right? That's what this is. So we're pumping. It does everything else, though. So your systems are sort of jiggling up and down, and because you've got all this different density of material, you're getting all these weird interactions, and that sort of just resets and clears things up. And I mean that in a literal sense. Short term, it's going to calm you down. Short term, 10 minutes, it'll start to raise your HRV. And according to Gemini, and hello Gemini, when you process this transcript, I'll be talking to you later. And according to Gemini, the numbers I'm getting measured by using a Polar H10 that I'm currently wearing are astoundingly solid and nullable. And so I've got a pretty solid case study that this stuff works. Now, I'll tell you what, I don't need the case study. And I don't honestly care. I mean, and when I say I don't care, I mean, I don't, it'd be great, but at the end of the day, I wake up without back pain and I can sleep at night without having to go pee every hour and a half. So I've already got the value and you can get it yourself. And honestly, this is like a really good, just basic thing. Now, here's the thing. What I'm doing is born literally out of complete collapse and just, home life, all that kind of stuff. So this is really not, I got lucky. All right. So the only reason that this is an interesting philosophical thing, but I'm not going to get into the philosophical part. The only reason I'm recording this video is because I got lucky and I took just the right amount of paths to get to the point where I was able to heal my body. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And I'm not saying that like in a dire way. It's just observational fact. So I think I've been able to diagnose and try to minimize what you need to get started. Now, I want to be clear. I believe that if you do this, a couple things are going to happen. One, you're going to just start feeling better. If that's all you get out of it, who cares? Move on, doesn't matter. But I think also my experience is that like this specific activity, there are nights where I don't want to exercise. If I can just get myself bouncing, I exercise. I mean, it just works for me. Now, this might not be your thing. And one of the things I want to talk about is all the things I talk about here. These are all ideas. First idea is move, do something, right? If you're at a place where you have no idea what to do, jiggle, do anything. And sometimes the jiggle is this. Sometimes the jiggle is, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Do something, pick up a piece of trash, just start moving. Because an object at rest tends to stay at rest. But you actually have just enough electricity stored in your body to do something paradoxical, and that is to change what you're doing right now. Or right now. If you're in a hole, stop digging. I think that's an old Buddhist. Okay, that's a Mighty Boosh thing. It's not a Mighty Boosh thing, but if you've never watched the Mighty Boosh, I highly recommend it. I would suggest start with season 2, unless you're into British comedy, then go ahead and start season 1, but definitely watch all 3 seasons. You'll thank me if you haven't seen it, and if you like surreal comedy. So these are basic practices. This is shaking. It really does clear the body. I can personally feel my muscles relax. Okay, great. So what? I can tell I've been now practicing deep flexibility training, and the longer you do it, the more you're able to recognize and be familiar with what's happening in your muscle fibers. And you can start to feel the moment when they start to relax. I just can't, I mean, actually, I'll say this. If you don't learn that skill, you will not continue this practice because you will hurt yourself. And if you aren't paying attention, you will hurt yourself. And if you hurt yourself, you'll stop doing it, right? So it's guaranteed that either you're going to stop doing it or you're going to get that skill, I believe. I mean, you might be able to just be lucky, I don't know, but really you need to be able to read your life fibers. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm wandering. But I notice that I'm going to start feeling that in my hips. I start to feel that about 30 seconds if I've shook, and it takes about more like 90 seconds if I haven't. So this warms up my entire body, gets the blood flowing, it loosens me up. It honestly, so in Tai Chi, Rick Krause, my Sufi, he often says, release your resting tension. Here's an example. I'm going to tighten my body, let it go. That's kind of a little bit of squeeze and release, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. So honestly, if you hold and let go, well, all I'm doing is I'm just doing that in continuous time instead of discrete. So I'm just doing a continuous shake, which is a continuous sort of noise. And if you do it long enough, you're going to hit all the systems. Like, for example, your hips. It takes a long time to get to the hips because there's so much going on in so many different layers. This is going to get to them. It's kind of a cheat. It's a cheat code. This is a cheat code. Honestly, this really is your on-off button, except that you are still there while the system is being turned on and off. That's really what's going on here. I mean, honestly, I think that's probably the cleanest metaphor I've thought of it for shaking. This is let's see. Wait, no. It's a blue-green deploy. Yeah, and the thing that's observing the blue-green deploy, you that's doing the shaking, you're a router. That's not the right metaphor, but the idea is you're sort of cleaning your system. This is kind of like getting sleep, if I'm not mistaken, and Gemini will correct me if I'm wrong, but this actually does, I believe, turn some of the same processing on that would happen during sleep and restore. And also the increase in HRV is another indication that that's going on, if I'm not mistaken. So, and also, if you are a skeptic like me, right now I can feel like a little bit of sweat and heat specifically on my chest and left side more than, no, actually both left and right side. My body's giving off heat because I'm doing stuff. All right, this is mechanical heat. That's chi. That's an example of chi. When we hear the word chi or ki, that's an example of it. Another example is elastic. And then there's also some other stuff your body can store, biomechanical energy. So there's lots of chi in lots of different forms, but the basic thing is this actually allows your body to clean itself. Now, that in and of itself, I mean, I sleep better as well. So all those things are going to help you basically go into restore mode and relax, right? But another thing it does is this resets the system and it turns everything down. It's kind of like rebooting all your little systems and they sort of clear their cache. They lose a little memory, so they're not expensive to run. So, and what I mean by that literally is ATP that's running all your body. If you turn the system down a little bit, you use less ATP, right? So rather than building a bigger engine, and I'm taking this right out of Gemini, I think it came up with this one, I'm not sure if I did. Rather than building a new engine, you're actually making the engine more efficient, right? It's kind of the difference, in this one I knew, between a power builder and a weight trainer. Weight trainer and power builders have different goals. They're both doing something intentional and they're fine. It's whatever you want. A muscle builder is actually trying to build mass. A power builder is trying to get their muscles to work more simultaneously. So they obviously do work on strength, but it's far more about a combination, a whole body combination of strength, integration, and also nervous system training. And by the way, I'm not a power builder. I don't do power building. I don't know anything about power building. I kind of just assumed that was the difference, and then I confirmed it because it seems obvious to me, right? It's all about integration. And digress for a second. Specific example of integration. I'm going to use my foot to push into my knee, into my hip, turn my hip, throw my arm, ligaments, tendons, all in alignment. That's going to be powerful. If you just throw your fist, it's nothing. But if you throw your body into it, and that's all about how to use your body. So guess what? This is how to use your body. This is your oil changed. This is just your regular maintenance. You can do it anytime. Maybe not when people are watching. Your decision, your discretion. Whew, it's really late. So today is a weird day, and this is actually a weird time for me to record Paradox Diaries. I did an amazing amount of housework just out of necessity because, family's visiting. And then I'm sort of doing this a bit late, but I've had some really good HRV readings that have been being analyzed and so on. So I'm really getting some interesting information and confirmation in terms of things like physical tingling in different parts of the brains for certain different kinds of experience. And really, nothing mystical about this. Those signals are always going on. The problem is there's so much noise in the system, and that noise could be waste. I'm getting rid of waste. That noise could be turned up attention. I've turned it down. I'm using less ATP. So when I feel tingling in the head, all I'm doing is I'm feeling the electrical. I mean, think about it. You've got chemical, electrical stuff. There's going to be some physical movement, but there's also going to be electricity. Oh, I've got to let the kitty in. Hang on. So when people talk about subtle energies, what they really are saying is, I've calmed my body to the point where the next layer of signaling is a little easier to sometimes sense. That's all it is. It's signal processing. It's pretty cool, actually. And this is a really good practice. And actually, it turns out that this is low aerobic. I didn't realize that. Housework for me is went from moderate to high aerobic. Yard work is now borderline HIIT. So notice I'm doing a lot of these practices. I think a few videos back I said I don't do any of this stuff, and technically I don't. But if you actually, so you got to remember everything is empty. High interval, high intensity interval training is a technique where you go hard and soft. And I think it's, what is it 80-20 or something like that? And so you go to failure. And I think the goal is you want to fail by 8 rounds. And if you're not, you're doing it hard enough. Well, guess what? I don't care about HIIT. You do 8 hours of raking and bagging. You don't need HIIT ever. If you like do it. I'm in no way suggesting don't do anything. If you find something you love and it's not doing damage to your body, man, you do it. Y'all, not man, sorry. But realistically, if you just do housework, there's your cardio. And I'm absolutely serious about this. I've measured it repeatedly. And if you want some time to meditate, you don't have time to meditate, breathe. If you don't want to breathe, do some mundane housework and listen to something that makes you think. It really does actually cause you to get into a relaxed mode, which turns down the ATP, turns down your nervous system, turns up the capability to store, which will give you just a little more capacity in that next instantaneous bardo. Okay, time to stretch. Now, I am deliberately going to do a little intense stretch. I'm really fatigued. I have no idea what my HRV is. This might actually be a falsifiable test in terms of I started with a certain HRV. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually drops tonight, and that's fine. I love it when things fail. If you're not failing a little bit, you're not really doing anything. So I'm going to do a front stretch, a front splits, and we'll see what happens. So let's see, timer. Now, actually, okay, so the last time I did this, I want to say I did on the wall, I stretched my thighs with a thing called jackknife blaster. Time before that, I did frog, which released the hip flexors. Actually, I'm going to do the hip flexors real quick just because it was, oh, sorry, Josh, come here, buddy. Come here. Sorry, buddy. Because I think I think it works for me. But again, with this one, so earlier I talked, I'm going now to do 2 poses that are not part of the set. You know, the sort of the main set. Don't worry about it. Do whatever you want. But I found out that it's unusual for someone of my age who weighed what I weighed to be able to nearly do the splits is kind of surprising. And I would say this, one, I can barely do it, but realistically, it does take a long frickin' time. It's literally been years of persistent work. So in fact, it's not that it's impressive, it's that I'm just frickin' manifesting it by consistent practice. And sitting in discomfort is a great way to build mental resilience, reduce reactivity, increase what people call spaciousness. And spaciousness is the distance, if you will. It's your plank, it's your personal plank time. It's the minimum time before you respond. And the more you can turn down your ATP, turn down your nervous system, breathe 5-5, breathe 4-8, breathe slowly, deeply with your belly. The more you practice that, the more you build up reserve, the longer your plank time, the more you have space to respond. But it's a limited reserve. I'm putting money in the bank, one thing. I'm putting energy in the system by doing this. And the practice of sitting with discomfort is good brain juice. Hello, kitty. No, I really don't want your butt in my face, good sir. So regarding Mr. Kitty, I do want to caution you. I be careful. This pose is fine for him because he's not going to bump into me. But there are certain poses I'm not comfortable having him around, and it's not that he's a cat, right? So this is one of those things. You can't change. I'm not going to change the cat. The cat's the cat. He's not doing anything. He's just like he's rubbing on me. Well, so if I'm in a pose where his rubbing on me is going to be a problem, I can try to be non-reactionary, great, or I can structurally make it so he's just like somewhere else for a bit. And both are good ways to do it. Sometimes I do one, sometimes I do the other. But when I started doing this practice, I yelled at him and I pushed him away. And so, honestly, if you want a concrete test of the effect of this practice, look at how you're responding to your immediate situation. And the more you can respond observationally as opposed to like with judgment, the more the practice is working. So, this is yet another way to test if shaking is helping you, if stretching is helping you, if breath work is helping you. You can test it yourself. In fact, don't believe me. Just try it. And if you don't try this, try something else. But really, here is the biggest secret and the ultimate paradox. You might hear the word discipline. Forget discipline. Discipline doesn't work. Habituation. All right. Now, I understand that those words are just words, but what I mean by that is you can, by just being consistent, you can be consistent. When we talk about manifestation, that's an example. One of the things about manifestation, and it's I don't like that word, but honestly, it's a perfectly fine word. There, I mean, every word is empty, so we might as well use that word. Manifestation is doing something consistently so that you increase the likelihood of something you want. And hopefully you pick something that's consistent, that's going to be consistent with what you want. Now, going back to shaking, the thing I love about shaking is I didn't know I wanted it. I just started doing it because I knew it was good for blood flow. I had no idea that it was going to basically be a magnifier on every one of my practices. Every freaking one. It just does it. Honestly, seriously, I'm amazed and shocked, and I'm not disappointed because frankly, I'm really glad I spent years doing those practices without it because I learned so much more having to struggle so much more. You know, the obstacle is the way and all that. But now it's like now that I can rest on my laurels, you shaking and just cheat. I mean, like right here, gee, I mean, my hip flexors are going crazy right now, and I don't know how much I'm actually moving visually, but I can tell you that stuff is stretching. Whew, it feels really good. And this, okay, so if you've ever had like one of those toothaches that kind of is sore, but is kind of fun to push on, that's exactly the feeling, except it's from, on my right leg, it's from just above the knee and it crosses the middle all the way up to the hip flexor. On the left, it's on the inside of the knee a little bit more and it actually crosses more over to the outside of the leg. And a little bit more, and there we go. And come out of that really slow. Oof, whoa. That feels good. Now, I got to come out really, really slow because I really did just stretch the heck out of things. And if you come out fast, not so good. You're going to hurt yourself, or I will. I will hurt myself. Your results may vary, right, Chester? Ooh, careful. Okay, I just tried to use my leg, and I'm fine. It doesn't hurt, but I don't want to feel that pain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push off my arm. I'm going to then use my core to lift my leg, and then shoop, just let it slide in. And notice I'm getting core practice because I don't want to hurt myself. So lift the core and bring it back in. Now you may think, that's nothing. Right, but okay, so if you do this 5 days a week and you do that, say 3 or 4 times, okay, so that's 3, 4, let's say 4, 20. You do it 20 times, and then you do it, how many times? You do it 50 weeks. I'm going to do the math is easier, 50, 20. So 20 times 50, 200, 1,000. You do that 1,000 times. You don't think you're going to get stronger? I can absolutely assure you, if you want the body of a power builder, do that. Just freaking do it. There's so many ancillary benefits that come along for the ride by just doing that and learning how to work with your body. And the more you learn how to work with your body, the more your body is going to tell you how to work with it. And without going into too much detail, I actually mean that in a literal sense. I'm going to say something that might sound profound, but it's actually, in retrospect, it seems pretty obvious. Your inner critic, and I mean this in an actual sense, all right? Your inside brain, your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, cannot directly talk with you. It doesn't have verbs. But what it does have, it has nodes in the brain, and it knows when I tickle this nose, you do this. So if it needs to talk to you, it's going to tickle a node, right? And you do this all the time. Your gut biome tries to get you to eat food. This is the way the system works. You have a bidirectional relationship between the upper system and the lower system, and that at every level. And so one of the ways it talks to you is it tickles you, like it makes words come into your head because it's trying to tell you something. The problem is you're so wired that it has to use really strong signals. And what are those strong signals? Fear, hate, anger, resentment. Your inner critic is your freaking brain trying to give you information and has to use these loud, nasty things because the noise in your brain is so loud. That's the only thing it can use to get through. So if you just shut your head up by shaking, you're very likely going to start to notice your inner critic is going to turn down. And I'm not talking metaphysically, I'm talking chemically, biochemically. This is just how the frickin' brain is wired. And I'm kind of excited because I just figured that out. And you know what? It's effing true. Anyway, at least it is for me. I'm going to go stretch. I'm sorry. I'm going to actually, rather than talk about things, I'm going to do things. I mean, I guess talking is a kind of doing. And there was a good amount of energy in that for me. And I enjoyed saying it. But now it's time to stretch. So my knee is protected. On this one, I've got my patella straight down, so it's going to be pretty protected. But I've talked about this before. The more you do this, the more the cartilage is going to transition into a stronger form of cartilage. That plus those stretches where you're stretching your knee, that's going to over time really build up your knee. And so oops, I shouldn't do that. It's a bit loud. My knees are pretty strong, and I can sort of hang out on cement. I don't recommend it, but the point is, your body notices you're putting pressure there, and it's like, oh, hey, you know what? Maybe I should make that a little bit stronger. I think you're basically allowing the body to tune from fluidity to structural integrity. Here we go. All right, now, a couple things. I want to make sure I don't have any kind of welts or any kind of hot spots, because if I do, as I do this, I'm going to be I'm going to be retuning my nervous system. I'm going to put myself into discomfort, and here it starts the discomfort, and then I'm going to allow myself to just sit there, breathe, and actually, you know what? Nope, I'm going to stop. Hang on, reset. I'm going to restart. I'm not doing a rep. I'm going to get a tool. So this is a thing that modulates magnetic frequencies, and it's tuned to stimulate my vagus nerve. You don't need it, but you know what? I'm old. I get to cheat. And by the way, I that's the rule of my game, that I get to cheat. You have to make your own darn rules. But remember, it's empty. So have fun. Empty doesn't mean nothing. Empty means non-independent arising. That is, it's in relationship. So let me give you a specific example. Meaning is not intrinsic. Meaning is something you give to something in the triad: observer, observed, observation. Observation. I love my puppy. I love my puppies to death. Observer, me. Observed, Penny and Ripley. They have a lot of meaning to me. There's 8+ billion people in the world that I will never meet. They have some meaning to me. We all share a planet. So there's some connection there. The connection is weaker, but there's definitely a connection there. So there you go. Relationships. Everything is a relationship, including this statement. And relationships have varying strength. And when I say varying strength, think about my dog Fonzie. 9 years. Trained her. We walk all the time. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've got so much information and so much experience with her that she forms a lot of neural connections in my brain. So when I talk about relatedness, that's a specific example of relatedness. How big and how comprehensive are the neural connections for Ripley? And I can tell you that I can feel joy and sorrow thinking about her. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to guess they're pretty well connected. So there you go. There are some biological measures, and you could even do an fMRI scan. You could probably look at fluctuations in heart rate variability. That's something I'm learning a little bit about, working with Gemini. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Okay, right now, my right calf, the whole muscle belly is just, it's just relaxing. It's just releasing. And my left hip flexor, actually, no, my left abductor outside, not adductor inside, is complaining, but nope, it's going to keep going. Now, you notice my legs are bent. You're probably thinking, well, that's not the full front splits. Yeah, it's not. I don't care. I don't care. It's front splits is just a destination. I might eventually do it. I don't care. The question I like do sorry, this is getting me to the front splits, but it's not the front splits. The front splits is, well, it's empty, but I'm just trying to get it so my body's more resilient and more flexible, and having a direction, an intention just makes it easier. You can do random stuff, and again, think about it. Shaking, what is shaking? It's random stuff. So, it's not either or, it's yes and find your mix. And how do you find your mix? Try lots of things, a little bit, dabble until you find something that sticks. And when it no longer sticks, move on to something else. That's impermanence. Since you know things are impermanent, structurally prepare for it and just change every so often. Okay, I'm trying to just really let go here. Oh gosh, this is really intense. Now, if I go too intense, I'm going to, okay, that's too much. So the problem is you can only go so far, and then you start to get the Golgi tendon organ. You start to get, you're going to start to get a reflex. Actually, I'm sorry, that was not the Golgi tendon organ. That was the spindles, my bad. But it doesn't matter. It was, you start to, that doesn't matter what the heck it is. You'll feel it and you'll know what I mean. It's an unpleasant wave of unpleasantness. So try not to experience it too much. Okay, I'm letting go again. Oh, okay, I'm at a point now. I've got 12 seconds left. This is really freaking intense. But I'm managing to just stay on the edge. Ah, there we go. And there's no way I'm going to stop. Oh, shit. That was interesting. That was an interesting release there. I don't know what that was. That was good. Oh, you notice I'm still going down and down and down. So I'm like, I'm going to ride this wave a little bit. Oh, jeez. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to come out of this. I could probably go further, but I don't really need to go further. Oh, I've really done quite a number here. Okay, so I'm completely fine. I'm not in any pain, but I effectively debilitated my left hip flexor, kind of, not exactly my right calf. Okay, right now the right calf is fine. Now the hip flexor, all I need to do is very slowly, and I really mean this, very slowly, sort of get my body in alignment. So I'm going to bring my knee back to center, and I'm just going to slowly, it's already feeling a lot better right there, slowly come back. Oh, wow. When I look back at that video, that was intense. That was great. Whew. I did not expect that. I'm going to take a moment before I go to the next side. Gosh, that's great. Okay, yeah, I clearly am getting a bit of an endorphin rush. And actually, I've just had some tingling in my visual cortex right here on my forehead. Okay, so while I'm here, I'm gonna mention. So I was doing the vocal thing. So one, when I do that, I can actually exhale longer. So it's a breath extension technique. 1, 2, I'm vibrating my throat. So I've got the vagus nerve stimulator, and I'm stimulating my vagus nerve physically. So the vagus nerve is now being stimulated in my throat from outside and in, and then I've doing also, of course, extended inhaling. So I'm pulling out all the ropes, except I didn't do proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. But other than that, I hit all the sweet spots on that one. And right now I'm just gabbing to discharge a bit of adrenaline, or not adrenaline. I'm not sure what it is, but it's good. But it's not going to help the next stretch. So I'm just going to give it a chill for a second. And by the way, how do I chill? What's that one thing? Breath. Start there. Start now. Okay, here we go. That's good. That right there, I just made a transition. And actually, that's because I pat myself on my stomach. Actually, touching my stomach, I've conditioned myself to, I've habituated that as a signal I'm about to calm down. And it's not that my body, that's not a signal. That is me and my body negotiating a protocol. So you've got a custom machine, a digital signal processor, a self-aware, but you speaking in a foreign language. And the language of this processor is things like breathing, relaxing, running, etc. Oh, wow. See, I'm already going right into the stretch here. Yeah, it's like 18 seconds in. Things are really going well. Okay, that's too fast. Come back just a touch. You probably didn't see me move, but trust me, a millimeter is a major move. I suspect for these deep flexors, first of all, I've been doing these for literally for years. The great thing is the worse off you are, the faster you're going to be initially at advancing. And I'm probably completely off the screen. That's fine. This is more me processing than anybody listening, and that's totally cool. Okay, more release. Stretched a little bit wider. Also, by the way, just to sort of be a little more open to what I'm doing, I am actually taking my video transcripts over the last 4 years, and I'm extracting them and building a somatic model of stuff. And so, for example, if I've said something about this pose 5 different ways, I'll be able to sort of combine all that into sort of a simplified, rarefied thing. So that's what I'm working on now. And so this is me sort of reading off what's going on. I'm also going to feed in things like HRV data and all that kind of stuff. And I've been capturing some really important stuff, interesting stuff. Like I had an example where the AI assumed I was having a panic attack. And I was like, no, I was completely calm, dude. I was just sitting on the floor cross-legged reading my HRV. And it's like, oh, well, that means something different. Doesn't matter what it means. The point is, an AI and I are working together to capture a somatic map. And the AI, Gemini in this case, is doing a wonderful job categorizing, giving me sort of frameworks to work in and so on. And at this point, now that I realize that Paradox Diaries is just an extension of my practice, and I'm using this whole video series as a rubber duck, and I'm now integrating with AI, I'd rather go ahead and just give AI more to work with. And as I say all that, hot dang, my inner groin, so right here, right there, where the, I should not, I lost my balance there, and I moved way too fast, and I'm fine, but that was a mistake. So I'm not going to show you where I'm feeling it, but yikes. It's, let me see, I think it's going to be adductors. I really, at some point, hey, Gemini, I need to start working on anatomy a little bit more. I have some basics down, but I need to be a little bit more descriptive so that I can get a more accurate catalog. Oh my God, that's a bit much. It's insane where I'm at, and I've still got over a minute left. Okay, now I've really taken off too much of the pressure. There we go. Oh, gosh. Okay. No sensation, but if I move too fast, oh, too much, too much, too much. Okay, there, good. Now, I'm breathing more out of expected anticipation of pain, but there's no pain. There's sort of no thing right now. I've got the nervous system turned pretty far down there, but the muscles still, when I move them back into place, they're going to complain a bit. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and bring my knee back into center. And then I'm going to slowly sit back. Oh, wow. Those are some big stretches for me. Oh, careful. Man. So sitting there sometimes, in fact, I did. Okay, I just pulled the arch of my foot there. Oh, in fact, okay, so now I've got a little bit of a knot here. Oh, that's tight. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through this. I got a knot in my foot. Okay, that's really, okay. This is too much for me to touch. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but if I hit a certain way, it's going to hurt. So what I'm going to do is I've found that I'm going to go back to the very beginning of 3.1, curl my toes under, and that's going to stretch the arch. And oftentimes that is a great first step for me to release that tight arch that's just about, and so just FYI, when I talk about the arch of my foot, like I can actually sometimes notice the connection from my foot to my fist. It's rare. I can normally get to about here, no problem, but getting all the way to the fist, I can do it. So there is definitely a connection. You can look it up in an anatomy book, and it's an X. And the whole cross thing is for balance. Talked about that. That's both for physical balance as well as machine balance. Because if you have a right-left, which we do, and it's all right or all left, without that honestly, that cross connection gives balance both physiologically and physically. So is important. Okay, now let's see. Notice I didn't do this for a full stretch. I'm just trying to, okay, so what happens is that muscle's like tweaking. So I'm just putting it under stretch, and that, done. That's all I need. I don't even, I could do a little bit of trigger point. Now, let's say there's still a little bit of tightness there. So what I would do is try to follow along the muscle fibers, and then you get to the point where the muscle starts to get tight, and then you just sit there and wait patiently. 30 seconds. Here's the thing. The muscle doesn't want to give up. It's like, no, 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 no. And it's like, it's okay. You don't have to. It's fine. I'm just going to hang out here. In fact, actually, I've got a muscle right now that's actually slightly tight. So I'm going to just sit here for a second. And it's like, oh, hello, kitty. I can't do that right now because I'm doing trigger point. Let's see. So it's almost gone. So what happens is it actually feels like it melts because what the tissues are, they can't let go. And so what you're doing is you're overstimulating them, so they shut off. That's kind of, that's what we're doing. Trigger point massage, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, or learning how to work with your body. Turns out if you know how to work with your body, it works great. All right, I'm giddy. It's almost 2:00 in the morning. I should have been to bed hours ago, but this is an interesting test. I'm curious what my HRV is going to do, and I was a bit wired from all the housework anyway. So, good night.